toward the end of my time in Paris, I started to get the feeling that my doctors that I was seeing weren't taking me seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the truth is I wasn't entirely taking myself seriously. And it was only when I got to a point where I was so weak, it was a struggle to walk up and down the stairs, that I found myself in an emergency room. And within 24 hours, I was on a plane back home to upstate New York, and I got the bone marrow biopsy that led to my actual diagnosis. I never returned to Paris, to my apartment, to my job. Friends packed up my things and sent them to my house. And I had this sense, even though I couldn't quite wrap my head around what it meant to have a cancer diagnosis at 22, that the person I'd been before was buried. There was no returning to that pre-diagnosis self. Challenging parts of that experience was the sense of the goalposts moving. I didn't know, on day one that I was going to be in treatment for 3.5 years. And they say you can survive anything as long as you can see the end date in sight. And there came a point in my treatment where I couldn't see that end in sight. And that was the most challenging, I think, to know how to kind of anchor yourself when you're swimming in a sea of uncertainty. A lot of people in their early 20s, I had this feeling of time.
Yes.
I had time to figure out who I was, time to figure out what I wanted to do. And that diagnosis brought into immediate, urgent focus the fact that we're all here for a finite period of time. And I felt a strange sense of urgency around time. I had the same experience. It felt like all the artifice just kind of fell away.
Yeah.
I got clear not only about who my friends were, but maybe more importantly, who I wanted to be friends with and what kind of relationships I wanted to cultivate. And I had such limited energy that I was well enough to maybe do 3 things every day, small things, like write an email, watch a movie, see a friend. And what that meant for me was that I had to get very clear about my priorities.
Wow.
I mean, I had been hoping to hear those words for almost 3.5 years. The goal had always been to survive, and I'd spent 1,400 days working tirelessly toward that goal. And I thought when I got to that place I would want to celebrate. I wanted to feel grateful. I wanted to quickly and organically fold back into the rhythms of living, but instead I found myself in this kind of limbo, this kind of in-between place where on paper I was better, but off paper, I couldn't have felt further from being the healthy, happy, 27-year-old that I'd hoped to be on the other side of all this.